Welcome back to tonight's Sad Reality. It's been a while, right? And this video sounds slightly directed, that's because, quite frankly, it is. But, well, it's been a while, 6 months. 6 months ago is when I kind of decided this channel was a good idea. Or about 6 months. Also, I guess, visual flashing warning on the screen. But, 6 months ago, this was my idea. It was like, hey, I'm gonna create a channel, and the goal is to make something, you know? Anything, something worthwhile. And part of that comes from this idea of what I've been told in life, or what the world's told me, and kind of my rejection of that notion. And that's, I can succeed by myself. I'm a go-getter, I'm a lone wolf, I can do whatever it is I decide I want to do. And that, of course, has always been YouTube. But, what I've never quite fully understood was why, you know? And here I am, having made, I think it's about 120 videos later. I haven't really been paying too much attention, admittedly, but this channel means a lot to me, but it also means very little. I don't know if that's super obvious by the kind of lack of content I've put on here. But tonight means a lot, I guess. I mean, it's been about 6 months, but I guess kind of what I wanted to do tonight is reflect on what this past 6 months has been, and all that. I don't know. You'll figure it out. Welcome back to tonight's Sad Reality, am I right? So it's not exactly perfect. There never was. So about a year ago, I started working. I think it was super early November. So I guess it would have been about a year and a month, or 2 months, I guess, at this point. Since it's almost into December now. And I wasn't the best at it. Nobody knows what they're doing in this world. Being an adult means throwing yourself off the deep end of the pool. And not just learning to swim, it means drowning for a little bit, and either a lifeguard comes and pulls you up, or you kind of figure out how to swim and kick your feet and your arms around a little. And, maybe you get hurt a little bit, maybe you swallow some water, or maybe you're not feeling too great after it, but that's what being an adult's like. I started working at Dick's Sporting Goods early November. But since then, I've come a long ways, and that's not really what I'm here to talk about either, because I don't care about that. Retail is cool. Half this channel's been me complaining about retail. That's not who I am. That's not why I made this video. That's not the important part, so don't be deceived like it is. Like, I do all this complaining here, but that's not the point of this channel, really. It's never been. Smoke and mirrors, that's what this always really has been, but I didn't really know what it was like to sell credit cards for a while, and we're out of tackle. Oh no! I'm so glad I was paying attention to this. More than likely, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll this world back a day instead of actually completing it at the end, but we'll see. Just because this world's actually kind of important. We're 3 years in. I'm not harvesting the coffee beans. I'm sure that pissed off like at least the 3 people watching this video. Maybe, maybe I don't know. I'll just say it was a bad luck day, so I shouldn't harvest the coffee beans. I have no idea if that actually impacts the yield that you get. I assume it does, but like, I don't know. I don't actually know how the calculations for that work. Half of being smart is pretending to be smart. Which kind of reminds me, it's kind of like credit card sales in a way, but I don't know if that's speaking of being smart. Anyways, so yeah, nobody knows what they're doing. In fact, I didn't really start selling credit cards until, I'm gonna say, probably like 4 or 5 months after I started. I didn't really know what that was like, or why it was, I mean, I knew why it's important, but um, I guess I didn't know why it was so important to our store at the time. And that's because I feel like we live in a world where we feel like people have skills. And that's a good thing, but, oh, is this an eel? I don't even know what season it is. I know coffee beans are growing. Is this an eel? Should I be scared? I really want to go for that treasure. Is this a bad idea? Probably. Ooh, but my bobber was fine because I got the treasure bobber and I forgot about that. Is that even a bobber? The commentary on this channel is amazing. Give it up for that. That was in fact not an eel, but it was a first catch for me. I don't do fishing very much. In fact, I think it's probably the most... if I say useless, I'm actually going to piss off like everyone in the comments here. I don't care about fishing in this game so much. It's just not my thing. I What I do like is mining. But I was like, I thought about this. I actually used my brain for 2 seconds before making a video today. And I was like, wait a second. If I go mining, I'm not gonna be able to focus on everything else I'm trying to do. That's why I didn't. That's why I'm sitting here fishing. There's also another reason too, but I'll probably get to that. You'll understand. There's gonna be a pivot point in this video. It's like you're playing Obelisk in Balatro, and the runs kind of has to pivot after a certain point. And his writing was fire. But yeah. So it kind of starts off with small things where you're like, oh hey man, I can sell other things, right? I can sell what's called no-set protection plans on our other stuff that we sell, like sports balls and everything. But you kind of, there's like a feeling like there's some skill, there's some like baseline affinity that you have for something, and then you kind of go for it because you're like, oh hey man, I can do this. It's not that bad, and let's give it a shot. And then you do, and then you become literally the face of, I mean, the credit cards in the company, I guess, in a way. Hello, that's me, the guy who, whenever, for all 0 people in the audience who work at Dick's Sporting Goods, if you ever see the thing in the break room that says, hey, be sure to offer a credit card to every single athlete. You know why this says that? It's because that was the advice I gave one step down from the CEO, something executive, something about the, basically the big fish visited our store one day, and they're like, hey, how do you do it? And I'm just like, well, you just mentioned everyone, and, you shoot enough shots, eventually you'll sink one. I imagine kind of like a physics simulation of like a basketball almost, or like a gym with a basketball hoop, but instead of just like actually shooting basketball shots, and you just keep placing basketballs, and then you have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of basketballs built up, eventually some are going to go through the hoop, maybe. If you have enough basketballs sitting there, like a mountain of them even. So maybe you don't have to be good at something, maybe you just have to do it tons. Anyway, this is kind of what this channel is. I didn't pretend to be good at anything. I mean, the first video is your gift is a voice. Your voice is a gift, and that's because, well, you grow up and that's what you're told is, well, you're gonna sit here, maybe do some ASMR. But that's not the point to me. It never was. I don't think it's so much the voice. I think it's what you're saying that counts. It's not read the Bible. It's not what the Bible, who's saying the thing. It's what it says. It's not how the words are being... Well, I mean, sometimes how the words are being said matters too, but you get what I'm trying to say here, right? And this isn't the most eloquent poetry, but this isn't preschool either, I guess. I don't know. So... And, well, that's enough about me. That's not really the point either of this video. I'm sure if you actually get to know me, and I say know me, I mean like you truly get to know me, you understand that I'm... For as simple as a guy as I am, the simple things in life, whatever, there's a lot of dumb stuff that kind of goes on in my head. And one of those things that I do is I kind of dance around a topic before I actually talk about it. That's why I'm naming this video 6 months, even though it's not really what it's about. But 6 months ago, kind of why I started this channel as well, I feel like I kind of lost a good friend. No, he didn't die, he just chose to walk away. And, tonight's one of those nights where I'm like, hey, we haven't really talked in 6 months. I spent $300. I spent probably about 3 hours, and maybe a little bit more than that if we're counting this video, working on stuff just to say, hey, happy birthday. I made you some stuff, I guess. And maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't. But one of the last things I sent him was basically the equivalent of, hey, if you ask and you shall receive, well, what do you get if you don't ask for anything at all? And I guess kind of the thought of that terrifies me. Like, why do we stop trying? Why do we walk away? But sometimes we kind of have to for a reason. Sometimes you need to do that to heal. Sometimes you need to do that to just, like, figure things out, I guess, Something that's weird. I heard this in church once. It was... Jesus didn't come to make bad people good. He came to make the dead walk again. Or the dead live, or whatever. And the point of that is you can't fix bad people. And part of life is like, okay, hey, am I a bad person? Am I the guy everyone should look up to? Is what is all of this? You know, I mean, statistically, here's a scary thought for you. You probably met one serial killer in your life. You know, I was talking about this with coworkers the other night. I was like, who do you think that person is? And we were all joking that we knew that person, not that it was me, but we had this one coworker who's a bit aloof. That's one way to put it. And maybe I'm the serial killer, and this is Among Us, and I'm a really good liar. Oh, simpler times, how I miss thee. It feels wrong, though, to take something that it's like, man, I know I'm so good at this, and to throw it away. And that's kind of where I'm at in life right now, too. That's what makes things hard. I feel like that's also why it makes things, and like, oh, I gotta really figure this out. But it makes, there's a drive to try to do something about it, to try to figure it out. Say, hey, should I stick with exporting goods? Should I go my own way? Should I find another company out there that would pay me a lot more for sales? Should I continue doing YouTube? Because this is honestly what I love doing. I love talking with people. I love intermingling and figuring out what makes people tick and how to reset the clock or whatever. And that's kind of what I've always been leaning towards, but that's not a decision that, you know, and that's a decision I make, but in the lives of other people, you know, it's, hey, if you're really good at drawing, are you going to be an artist? Are you going to be the next big one? Or are you going to, you know, teach elementary school? I don't know. Teachers, I feel like, are super underappreciated, but I also feel like having grown up with a lot of bad teachers, I'm like, hey, why do we appreciate some teachers that do actual garbage and whatever? That's a debate for another time, though. But all that's to say, I guess, Luke, maybe you watch this, maybe you don't. I assume you do, because I know you're smart enough to know that you know how I work. And I feel like I don't really know how you work, and for me, that's not really scary so much as it's something I just accept, because I don't know. That's not something I expected you to walk away from, is when you realize, hey, I gave you $1,000 for one video. That's scary to someone my age. Someone 21, I guess. 1,000 is like, that's how much I make in about 2 weeks, for reference. I think I'm averaging about 1,500 every 2 weeks, just because, you know, commission sales. In fact, I would say I think I'm like the second highest paid person in our store, except, I mean, store manager, even though I'm not counting him, and one guy who managed to up his paycheck significantly by comparison to another job that he was either, well, I'm quitting this job and moving somewhere else, or you're matching this, and he matched it. But it's not about the money, and it never has been. I know that's kind of the point of this too. Like, you can spend $300 on someone that doesn't mean anything, but it's kind of the picture it paints. Do you sink? Do you swim? Do you climb? Do you run? Do you fly? Do you walk? And I guess that's the question I ask you in this, you know, is, hey, I would love to have a friend back. In fact, I would love to have someone who understands me better than anyone else in the whole wide world. And that's something that I truly miss. I feel like I'm talking at your funeral. You're still alive, hopefully, even if I haven't seen you in 6 months. But man, it's just what a pity to take something good and throw it away. At least from my perspective. But I also feel like, you know, there were parts of that where I messed up too. I didn't understand how good something could be, or how bad it could be, or even the thing, like, I don't know, I'm just gonna cut the bullshit here. I think I messed up part of that because I can try to compare my situation with my parents to the situation with your parents, which I don't truly understand. I remember at one point I think that kind of offended you, and maybe that wasn't something I really understood. I'm not sure that is something I still understand. But kind of my hope this past 6 months, I hope you've been in a better situation than I have. I've worked retail nonstop, and I get up, and the same thing my artists say. They're like, hey, we're also doing this, you know, kind of 9 to 5 business, whatever. And we're tired. And we love doing art and stuff on the side, but we're tired. Like, it's one thing to just survive in life, and this is the thing that pisses me off so much about my parents. They're like, you gotta think about your future, and I'm like, well, I am thinking about my future from doing YouTube, because sitting here at Dick's Sporting Goods, day after day, like, my hands look like a mess. My knuckles were bleeding today from the work that I'm doing. Not, like, No exaggeration. I mean, it wasn't something that was like physical work. It was literally just because you move the same thing back and forth over and over. Eventually, you're gonna get your hand scratched by some metal, and you do it enough for a few days straight. You help what, like 300 customers a day, whatever. And your knuckles get kind of messed up by some metal. Again, not the point of this video. I had some caffeine earlier. It's 11 p.m. But we're tired, you know. So I hope your last 6 months have been good. I know. Oh, gold chest. This is a thing that exists apparently. New to me. Uh, Sorry, I'm kind of locked in. That's actually really cool. I'm still probably gonna reset this afterwards because I didn't really plan on fishing, but I'm actually starting to appreciate the value of fishing because wow, there's a lot of cool stuff you can find doing this. See, we don't really care about. Sea jelly's cool. Octopus roe, we're gonna sell. Like I can only imagine, you know. I mean, I have my ways of doing things. I feel like everyone does. I never try to make things creepy, but I want to care about people, I guess, and I feel like the life I've led so far, it's been so hard to care about people, and I don't know if that's psychopathic, sociopathic, lack of empathetic, whatever. But when people walk away, that hurts too. The day you were just like, you know, I'm not really doing anything anymore with that. Like, gosh. I feel like I've pretty much hinted at this. The entire reason I was like, hey, I don't really want to continue YouTube was kind of because you left. Because we had a team of 10. I've always said it felt like a team of 2.5. But, you know, the day the engine of the train shuts down, the train's not moving anymore. That's kind of the way it goes. I've never been a man with talents. I just have a voice. I can change my voice a little bit, you know, same way everyone else can. But, I've I have strings, I guess. I have attachments. I have... The world's big. I don't remember some, like, elementary school kind of book, but, like, if you want to spin your web, you want to catch the good things in your web and leave out the bad things, and sometimes the rain will come and wash it all away, but, you know, the itsy bitsy spider climbed up again or something. We can all do these things. You can pull on a string or two, you can make something beautiful. But it's never going to be the same without the people you made along the way. I saw something on LinkedIn the other day, and I always think LinkedIn's stupid. I think it is full of bots. I think the most fake people you will ever see are business people. Nice to meet you. I'm kind of a business person. I'm just like a business person in this game, I guess. But, man. That's just like so real. That's like let me like back out of this for a second. Like not Stranger Things, Doctor Strange. Like gets knocked out of his body, and you're like, wow, this is very surreal for me, you know. I've been working on a lot of stuff over the past few months, though. It's kind of funny to think about it. Actually, I need to. Let me keep my story straight here. LinkedIn. I saw a thing the other day, and it was basically every job that people want filled nowadays is people want that perfect fit for the job, you know? They want that person who has all the experience under the belt. They've done this for years and years. They already have experience working with the tools that only this company has somehow without ever having worked for them. And it's an impossible, like, it goes in the square hole, but, like, it's shaped like a something from the eighth dimension. And you're like, how do I employ for something in the eighth dimension? Or how do I seek employment for? Is that the right phrasing? But he kind of finalized the post with saying, companies, you're missing out because if you really want to see greatness, it's not in those people that are already great. It's the people that grow alongside you who then become great because they have seen the bad and the good and they know how to get past it versus the one person who knows how to do the one thing over and over. And maybe he's really good at it. Maybe he's really good at selling credit cards. Then maybe that's his entire personality and nobody cares beyond that. Hey, that's me. I don't know. That's how I feel. I know I can have much more of a personality than that, and I think there's some level of intrigue or mystery to it that people... I'm over-exhausted? No way. I didn't think I would fish enough for that to actually happen. I mean, I could have been fishing with luck the entire time, but I haven't been. I don't know. I feel like it's a tragedy having lived life, not making any mistakes. I feel like that was kind of the intent from the beginning, but then I also feel like that evolved in this dance, if you will, that, hey, we're gonna fall, but someone will catch you, and that's alright. Maybe don't wait 6 months, though, for them to catch you, I guess. If you're taking anything away from this, maybe reach out sooner than that, but I want to give people time to heal. So, where was I going with my other story, though? I had another story I wanted to tell, but kind of forgot it already. That's kind of the way my mind works, unfortunately. Just taking a minute to kind of breathe after that last one, but yeah, I'm gonna cut this after the end of one day. I feel like that's a proper episode of Sad Reality, I suppose. Although this is super calm, it's like kind of relaxing. You get the rain in the background, you've got this, you've got some very raw emotions that a guy of age 21 doesn't really feel that often. And that's kind of nice. Maybe I will come back to this channel a little bit more. Although usually it's just me talking about things that are pissed off and it feels very shallow. I do have something to talk about, but it's not the other thing I was going to talk about, but I guess I'll proceed anyways. So, the other thing too, I guess I've been prepared to kind of move forward with stuff too. I've always been. In fact, the thing I've always told people is I'm like, you could literally probably throw rocks at me, and I'll find some way to like get up again, I guess. I was the kid in school that got bullied. I was also the know-it-all that had no friends back in elementary school. I've been that disgusting piece of trash nobody wants to lay their hands on. I get it, but here I am, you know, and when people look at me, they're like, wow, this guy has 1,000 subs on YouTube on his other channel. I guess people care. Or they don't know about that, and they're like, wow, this guy sold 700 credit cards. He's so successful for getting $2 extra on each credit. Well, like, that's not the point. It's not that part that I care about that makes it great, in my opinion. It's the parts between. It's the smear frames and the animation that you're like, oh my gosh, this was so creative. Or even just like, I guess the overcoming. It's not just like, oh hey, we crushed the serpent's head. It wasn't that. It was everything the serpent had, he threw at you, but you came out victorious on the top of it. And perhaps there was an animation that someone was working on for about 6 months that'll, I'm not gonna compare myself, you know, all that high and mighty, but, making an impossible situation suddenly seem doable, or pulling it out of thin air at the end. That's, I guess, kind of what I've been doing the whole time. And, well, there's a lot to show in the background. You'll see soon, and I don't want to talk about it on this channel yet because, you know, I'm bad at keeping secrets. People know about this already. But what I do want to talk about is, I guess I'm ready to continue, and I hope you are too with that. I've got so much cool stuff, and man, it'd be a tragedy not to witness something great together, I guess. It's just funny though too, because like I started working, I already said this about a year ago, I'm not gonna rehash all that. I feel like some dementia-ridden patient in like a clinic or whatever. But when you think of God using like evil things for good, I think, wow, this is the epitome of the story that is my parents and stuff. Because not only do I start working, but the person that I interview at my workplace, that my boss asked me to interview, happens to be one of the most talented artists I've met, and happens to also be willing to work on stuff as part of all these crazy ideas I've had, and decides, hey, I believe in you. You know, just having met someone like that's crazy, I guess. Especially like this wasn't during the whole interview and stuff too, but close enough. It might as well have been. Um, but there's just so much cool stuff in life, and I would hate to be there alone at the end of it. In fact, that's not really one of my external fears, because I've always felt kind of alone in the sense that, well, very few people understood me, but perhaps if you're watching this channel, maybe you do. So, all that said, it's been a very expressive, very out there sad reality tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and happy birthday if your name happens to be Luke. All that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic next month. I promise I'll be around more than once a month, but you know how this channel is. Although I'm going to talk about car insurance at some point. I wanted to talk about that last night, but then I was continuing that saga of the artist that was probably scamming me. I might eventually talk about that. It's just like cost sunk fallacy if I want to see something through or not. But I don't know. I'll get around to those videos at some point. So thanks for watching. I'll stick around if you do, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your night. Have a good one, y'all.